Welcome back to Barrel Brothers. Today we're back on the President. I'll tell you where we are with it. We put on the original Bad Penny, which was the Southern Ways glids that we built. I think was our first 2 videos that we ever did. That set of Southern Ways glids for the Cedric, which we subsequently sold. Still have the wheels here. We built them for another guy. Bought them off the car, and we were putting them back together. Pulled them all apart, cleaned them up, putting some new seats, and the centre on one of them cracked. So we had to quickly get a hold of our customer, and he decided on some August Ferocious, 5-star August Ferocious, which look awesome on I think it's a first gen Hilux truck with indicators sitting on top of the guards that actually have the mirrors on the back. It's a really cool looking thing. They sort of look like Jar Jar Binks' eyes. Anyway, I digress. The President. So we've got those wheels. We put them on the Prez. They're 14s. I'm not going to run a 205 80 series tyre like the standard one. It's just I just can't bring myself to do it. Bloody things like hip height. Anyway, it might be comfortable, but it looks awful. We have though gotten rid of the fakes that were on it, and they have gone over to Sims and are being recycled as we speak, which is good. So what we've decided to do, well, I'll let you know about a little problem that we had, which is my fault. So, you know, like in the previous episode, I showed you cutting the springs. We're actually going to do something completely different for the suspension, but, you know, just to get it. Nobody wants a car looking like a 4-wheel drive if you're going to put wheels on it. We're Barrel Brothers, so we've got to have a car that's at a decent ride height. Anyway, so I put the 14 by 8s and 8.5s on there, the glids, and they look pretty good on the car, and cut the springs there, got it sitting where I liked it, and took it for a little drive around the block, and it was just scrubbing it just a little bit, and I thought, yeah, we'll get away with that. It wasn't too bad. Because our petrol gauge isn't working, I thought, oh, I better fill it up with fuel. So I went, on the way around the block, I stopped at the servo and put 75 litres in it. So it looks like it only had 20 litres left in the tank. And that was a drama because the extra weight brought it down, and it actually scrubbed to hell all the way back from the servo back to here, and it burnt the paint. Dagnabbit. What I've done is we've decided to build a different set of wheels, and that sort of came about because Elliot bought some wheels off Yahoo Japan, I think, and for his BMW. They were sold as a 5x120, and they got here, they're actually 5x114.3, which is handy, and they are these here. Right, Panasport. C5R. I think they're 15, which is good, and they're a very high offset, which is also very good. So what the plan is to put some lips and stuff on these. These are going to be punched out to an 8.5 and a 9. So we've got a 1-inch lip on there at the moment. We'll go out to a 3-inch and a 3.5-inch lip. Will get us out to an 8.5 and a 9, and they'll also sit further in than the wheels that are on there now, so we shouldn't have the scrub problem. We'll stretch it and put a 195 65 15 on it, so quite a tall tyre. It should be stretched in under the guards, and they should look great. So the idea with this one, they've got a very small hub, so we're going to have to machine that out to fit the car, and the plan is to do them sort of like a torque thrust or a Supreme. You know, they have that 5 sort of rounded spoke look. So we'll do that, I don't know, in a grey probably, with the bigger lips, nice and polished, and we'll put a big conical centre cap on there, which will be inside the lip once we get it on there. Look, the paint's falling off these things. Yeah, with I think Panasport on the end of it, or do the President logo or something. I don't know, we'll think of something. Yeah, so these are going to look awesome. I think, well, you know, and we're going to have to go to a 15. It's just the diff ratio thing. We have a little news on that one too. We're going to try and put a different gearbox in it as well. But that's where we are. So the plan now is to rip these to bits. I was going to say, take the paint off it, which you just do by picking at it a couple of times and the rest of it falls off. There's not much left. Yeah, so we'll do that, and yeah, I'll give them to the boys downstairs and we'll get the paint off and pull them all apart, and then the lips have already been ordered, so we just have a bit of a wait for them now. He's going to look really good. Can't wait to see him on the car. Can't wait to drive him on the car. All right, here boys. We've actually got some lips for him. So that should look pretty good, I think. Yeah. Alrighty. We've got to polish those up and whatnot. But what we need to do today is a bit of machining, and there's a couple of things. These are the caps we want to use for them. They're a new cap that we've just started producing for ENS Casablancas, the big ones. So I thought, I mean, the idea of this is to try and give it, I mean, it's a Japanese wheel, it's a Panasport C5R. The idea was to sort of give it like a Supreme look, or actually, yeah, torque thrust, that sort of look to it. So we're thinking of going like a matchish sort of silver on there, nice polished up lip and a polished cap. The only problem is it doesn't fit. So we're going to have to machine this out so our caps will actually fit in there, but I think that should look good actually. And admittedly it's going to sit a bit further down because it's not sitting out that far, so this should be pretty cool, I think. Anyway, on the big tank, put all the stuff back. The other problem, Casablancas. The other problem that we have is that has being sort of a giant Nissan Cedric chassis, old Nissan Cedric chassis, so double A arms on the front, has those really big bearings on it, and that hole there isn't going to cut it. So here's one I finished earlier. That's the size it actually needs to be. So how do you make that hole bigger like that? The answer is not send it to prison. We've got to do that on this old girl. So we'll set it up in there and machine out here, and then flip it over, and we'll skim this one out until the caps go onto it. Now everybody, you know, people seem to think, oh, you've got a lathe here, you just chuck something on. It takes a lot of time to set up. You've got to get, you cut it right, you've got to make sure that, well, I'll show you. So first thing you want to do is chuck it in the chuck. Now, pick a speed, one that's not too fast. You can see the problem. So we've got to get this all running true, because if it's not true and I machine the centre out, then your wheel's going to be like that down the road, and that's the last thing you want. So it takes time to set these things up. Not just, yeah, then you've got to carefully cut, and we've got to get the sizes right, and it takes time, okay? It's not a 5-minute job. Everybody seems to think it's like grabbing your drill and putting a drill in a hole. No. It's, there's quite a bit of work in getting these things to run true. Machinists out there, you know what I'm talking about. As I said, everybody seems to think, yeah, you can just chuck it on a lathe and just zap it off, and 5 minutes later, these things take hours. It's now running true, which I'll show you. And that's how you want it to run. And it involves dial indicators, and you know, this is a 3-jaw chuck, and we have it fairly well set up so it can, actually shut up you. Have it fairly well set up so it's pretty square to start off with. But 4-jaw chucks, yeah, they're even more fun. Heaps more fun. Yes, so it's running through true at the moment. Now we need to machine it out to suit. And what I've done is actually machined up a plug gauge so we can get the size bang on. See? Which is a damn sight easier than getting the, well, we've got to get the verniers out anyway. Oh no, they're already here. Yes, win. Damn sight easier, you know, you machine it out and you can just see by your plug gauge whereabouts you are, and away you go from there. So, here we go. We're getting pretty close now, as you can see with my plug gauge here. So what needs to be taken off it now is a unit of measurement that we use in Australia called a bee's dick. Quite widely used in Australia. It's a unit of measurement that denotes something that's pretty bloody small, and that's what, so we need to cut down the size of our cut and just take skims off until we get to the right size. So we're not quite sure of the actual quantity of bees dicks that need to be taken off here. And that's because we're just doing it by feel, basically, because this machine is an old one and is all in inches, which is a bit of a silly unit of measurement. I know Americans like it, but if you're brought up on the metric system, it's got too many moving parts, whereas the metric system does not. Look at that, bang on. So, on to the next one. And there you have it. 2 more to do. I'm on number 3, and I just thought we get asked to do something that you can't really, well, you can't. Anything can be done if you throw enough money in it, right? But here's the thing, we get a lot of people where the wheel's a bit wide or whatever, that sticks out the gut or whatever, they want us to machine off the back of the hub. Now, if you look in there, that's a steel seat. Okay, so at most I can get to the bottom seat of that seat, which is around 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, and that's all you're going to get out of the bottom of it. Okay, if you don't have a steel seat, people want to say, oh yeah, look, there's plenty of pad there, you can just machine it off and just, no, you can't, because, where's another one here? See the hole's bigger at this end? So the shape of that hole, it comes in at a taper and then goes down. So you're machining off the piece of metal that's actually holding the wheel onto the car. Let's make that thinner. That's a good idea. So you can't really do it. You know, I've seen wheels where somebody's decided this is a good idea and machined that off, and the hole in the front is like that size, which is too big. or they've machined it down so far that the wheel nut actually bottoms out on the thread against the hub before it actually comes up against the wheel. Now, as I said, you can do anything if you throw enough money at it. What you've got to do is you've got to pop these steel seats out or whatever. You've got to weld all of this up, which means a paint job straight up, right? And then you've got to re-drill these holes in there, okay? Buy wheels the right size, or relip them to the right size. You can't, it's not just an easy thing to machine that off. Everybody thinks, yeah, just machine a bit off, you'll be right. No. 2-3 millimeters at most is all you're going to get doing it that way, unless you want to spend a lot of money, which is welding, painting, blah 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 blah. It's going to cost lots of money, okay? Don't do it. Get the right size wheel. It's absolutely bucketing down here, widespread flooding and everything. I don't even know if I can get home. So anywho, we've done all 4 of those. They're all good to go. Now we get to do the other side, which is a damn sight easier for the caps, for the simple reason is that's flat. You chuck it in the chuck and away you go. The problem with this one was 3 chuck jaws, 5 spokes. It didn't matter where you put it, one of them was going to clobber one of the chuck jaws and they stick up above the centre, so it was always wobbly. But when you put it in this way, easy as, dead straight, right from the word go. So, the idea now is to put some caps in it, these guys here. The other good thing about doing these, one of those quick jobs, once you've got your size right, you can just bang them through one after the other. Next. Good to go. So we've mocked these guys together, and the plan now is to try them on to the big chap here. Here we go. I need a smaller socket to go in there, or some smaller wheel nuts. Found some. Cool. Centre cap. It's gonna look good. Well, that is a yes from me. Pretty pleased with that. Style, luxury and class. Okay, all the machining's done. Time to hand them over to Elliot for paint. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, that one too. I don't know, I looked down straight away.